Hello, everybody. Let's see. Okay, we are live, Instagram Live on a Tuesday night. We're gonna wait for. Oh, hey, Mom. Waving at you. There is Jennifer, so we're gonna invite her. Yes. Okay. Now Jennifer's gonna come on. Waving at everybody. Hello, Jen.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, we are live. So I'm so excited to do this. I have been looking forward to this all day.
Me too.
I thank you for doing this and for being a part of Fresh Starts. And we're so excited. I see people are like trickling in. My sister joined, so we'll give everybody a second. I want to shout out. This is our Tap for Courage shirts that we created.
I love that.
Tap, so you can shout out to Kristen Curtis for that one. And so tapping to, and I have our Fresh Starts mug too. Just put the kids to sleep. So let's pray that we get through this.
I want to make sure that I say it, and I have
Yeah.
one of those minds that are like fleeting, as we talked about earlier today with the way the days are going. What you are creating here is just so amazing.
Thank you.
And to be a part of it, like it can sound, I don't care if it sounds corny or whatever, it's everything. And I am so happy because I know that 12 years ago, if this had been around, like it would have just changed the dynamic of my life at that time. So I can only imagine what it's doing for people now and that they're actually having a conversation. So kudos to you
Thank you.
and your sister and everyone else behind the scenes that is creating this. So I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you, Jen. That means the world to me. This, for those of you that don't know, I met Jennifer in a group that was run by our friend Meg, and it was a group about intuition and manifestation. And I manifested this. I wrote it in my journal a year ago that I wanted to start Fresh Starts, and we are just at the beginning. We are going to take over the world. We're going to flip the narrative. We are changing everything. So, and Jennifer, which I'm going to let her introduce herself in a second, but she's been #1 supporter since day one. So I could cry about how encouraging and supportive you are and just letting me bounce ideas off of you. And you, we did this group during the pandemic days, and it was like a lot of us just glommed onto each other and really like are still very close. So I'm really grateful for Meg and all of that as well. Okay, so there's Kristen. Kristen, we just mentioned your name about tapping. Kristen Curtis is our Fresh Starts tapping expert, which we're going to do a whole live with her too. Jennifer, can you give us, who are you? Where did you come from? What is your story? and how do you help people? I know you amaze me because every time I message you, you're like, I'm doing this thing, and now I'm doing this thing. And last night you were delivering a baby. I don't even know what like. So give us some background before we jump in. Oh, there's Lauren. Hey, Lauren. We'll jump into everything, and then the topic tonight we're supposed to stay on is toxic family members, toxic people in your life, and how to handle them, particularly during the holiday season. So if you have questions, everybody, drop them in the comment box. I will, check them. But Jennifer, tell us, who are you?
So I am Jennifer Shakespeare. I am a girl. I was born in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. I came back here with my mom and my grandparents raised me. And from childhood, I wanted to help people and helping people. And unfortunately, people pleasing and some other trauma response related things became some of my norm. But I can say that right now that I use those things to my benefit. I'm generally in a place, because we're all always healing, that I can be ahead of it and be aware of it before acting on it. And there are those times that I give into it, but that's okay. I started really kind of in political science, strangely enough. And that was where I thought I was going to be, politics, helping people.
I can kind of see that with you. And by the way, I'm not taking it off the table for you.
Okay.
I like that's there's still something there, I feel like.
I'm not turning anything down because, you never know what the possibilities. I never thought I'd be here today. So that was the idea. And then I fell into, I took the police test a few times and I was really excited about that. And then I became a victim witness advocate for the DA's office in Massachusetts, specifically working in domestic violence. And I found my passion. I found my heartbreak. I found connection. I found a sense of how do I do more? Mm-hmm. And then led me into social work. Okay. So went on with social work, specialized working with people 60 and older who were unfortunately neglecting themselves financially, being exploited, abused, kind of similar to the domestic violence piece.
Yeah, interesting.
And then my stuff from childhood and growing up came up, and addiction and bad behavior and toxic relationships just kept showing their ugly head. And I realized that all of these things came together. And it was so hard to really kind of like hold on to it because I'm still in a phase where I'm like, oh, there's certain people that we're going to find out about this and they're going to be like, oh, this is about me.
Right.
But it's not about them. Right. It's about me. It's about my journey. It's about me wanting to help other people who are going through this and were where I was 10, 15 years ago, not have to wait as long to get the support.
Right.
And help. So babies, yes, I do. I am, now that Loving Mimi is its own business and entity, and I am a trauma coach and I'm a family dynamics coach specifically. Basically, I work in relationships. I love relationships. I love analyzing relationships. I love supporting relationships. In order to build a business, as you know, as a mom, you have to be able, and my husband works as well, you have to be able to bring in a revenue stream or you're going to be grasping at straws. Yeah. So my main revenue stream right now is working as a labor, postpartum, and infant care doula for Boston Birth Associates.
Oh, okay. That's right. And also that is quite literally the beginning of relationships, right? Like the relationship between the mom and her child, and reassessing the relationship between partners when a baby's born and all of that. So you have your hand in many, many places.
Well, and it's amazing because with our program that we did with Meg, which was Listen to Your Soul, she was the one who kind of introduced me to it because we were talking about my birth experience and where I wish I had support. And we were talking about, other moms having support and passing on this generational trauma.
Yeah.
And I was like, in order to really support my clients, I need to know where this begins.
Ooh, that's deep. I like that.
Yeah. It took a while to realize that that's where it was going. But like what I understand now that like, I need that to become the next level of this.
That makes sense. I love that. So, okay. So you are an expert in all of these different family relationships and dynamics. And so let's talk about the holiday season.
Yes.
Why do you think that in particular, the holiday season is more difficult for people with family dynamics?
Because we're literally, except for during the pandemic, forced to be with these people that we're related to, we've grown up with, and we may have mixed feelings about our relationships with, but most of us were raised with the idea of they're your family. Suck it up, get over it, show up. It's only one time, and then you can walk away for a year after these different family gatherings have happened.
Yeah. So let's get into that. So the only one time, how does that affect somebody after they maybe have been, going to therapy, realizing that like, oh my gosh, this is not the childhood I thought I had, or it's not the parental relationship I thought I had. Does that going only one time, can that really make such a big difference in your healing process, or how do you view that?
I believe it, like without the support or the tools, I believe that it can set you back years.
Mm.
Because it literally puts you in a situation where you're forced to face all of the triggers at the same time and then be expected to silence yourself again because you don't want to be the one to cause the problem.
I have chills from you saying that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's true. And so can you explain what like maybe a trigger is to people that maybe don't know you and I are very much immersed in like the therapy world, but like, what is a trigger?
So a trigger, the way I like to put a trigger is if you close your eyes and you think of something that more recently has given you the chills, has in a not a good way,
right?
Like has literally made your skin crawl or makes you feel like you need to leave the room.
Right.
That's triggering a sense of something that has happened in your past.
That's not safe for you.
Right. You are no longer safe in your body. You need to escape your current state of being,
right.
Freeze, fawn, flight, any of the things to be able to step away from your current reality.
Okay. So you said like 100 things that I wanted to go into. So,
unfortunately, that's what I do.
Yeah. So, like for example, maybe it's a sound. Like what could it be? Like a smell? Like what are some, like maybe let's think holidays. What are some holiday triggers that would maybe set people off?
Okay, so I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna get really personal and just like go there. I see a full dinner table with all of the foods, and then I see a bar, and I start smelling the liquor, and I see the people surrounding both of those things and not engaging.
Okay.
That is a trigger for me because I'm instantly smelling the alcohol from a potential family member or friend or loved one who used alcohol and became during the holidays and used it to cope and may have become violent or silly or overly engaging.
Right. So, okay. So you are not even the one imbibing here. It's that you were a child who was raised around people that lost control when they were drinking. So when you go to a holiday party or soiree and you smell the whiskey, it makes you feel your nervous system is activated.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything, all of the hairs on the back of your neck literally stand up and you're like, wait, something. And even if you don't remember, and a lot of this happens, is that some people don't remember those things that have bothered them in the past. They might not know what it is.
Right.
But still the hairs in the back of their neck go up and they're like, I don't feel safe. Like, I don't feel okay. Like something's happening here.
Okay. So I want to discuss this first, and then I want to get into actual like communication stuff. So let's say that, you're in that instance and either you don't know why it's happening or you do know why it's happening. You're getting that nervous system reaction. You had mentioned 3 things. I know what they are, but our audience might not know what they are. The fawn, the freeze, and the flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's right. So can you just very briefly, because I know that's like a whole trauma thing, but just explain, so because there may be people listening that are getting these reactions that don't know what their reactions are.
No, and I'm so thankful that you are making me break it down, because a lot of times I can get ahead of myself, especially if I am passionate, when I'm like talking about something like this that I'm so passionate about. I forget, like,
no,
you
it's
have
okay,
to remember.
Reading about trauma was such a hobby of mine. My therapist had to tell me to stop with the hobby because it was not healthy for me. So I know way too much about trauma, just because I'm interested in it. So, and from past relationships with people, particularly lovers, but less family. But Okay, so we have, what is, first
The
of all, I
three.
guess the question before you even get into the three are like, what happens to your, is it a mental thing? Is it a physical thing? What happens to that nervous system when those triggers occur?
It depends who you are and
Okay.
where you are, if even you've started like some sort of healing journey or awareness of that you've ever been in a relationship that may have been traumatic per se, like caused you pain in some way, shape, or form. Because I
Okay.
mean, there's all different types of trauma that we could talk
Right.
about, but I like to just make it a little bit smaller to say like something that has caused you pain, something that has caused you to have to feel as if you need to change your behavior to make things better.
Right, because two people could have the same experience and one could be traumatized or triggered and one has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So fight is when you want to, when you feel as if like you want to become aggressive, if you want to become defensive.
We call that activated. In our house, we say somebody's activated. It's like
yes,
they like
I like
become
that word.
Yeah.
No, I love that word because I love that energy of that word. Fawn is when you go into the word that we've been hearing a lot. I've specifically been really hearing it during the pandemic is people pleasing. Like you want to make everyone else happy and say the right thing so that you can make the thing go away.
Right.
So that's fight. Flight, you need to leave, like literally physically leave the situation.
Yep.
Fawn is I feel that fawn is more when you kind of think of it a deer. Okay, so you're staring because you're afraid to run, you're afraid to just slowly move away, and you don't want to charge at the experience in itself. So therefore you stay, but you're not necessarily physically or emotionally present in the situation.
Right. That makes sense.
And then there's also freeze. So there's fight, flight, fawn, and freeze.
Okay.
Are the four.
There's four. Okay.
Yeah. The four F's.
The four F's. Okay. So you are in this situation. You are triggered. You go into one of these stages. What is just a couple things people can do if they find themselves going home for the holidays, being triggered by whatever it is, and getting into this place? What are some tips?
So one of the things I really say is that if you already feel, if you know of a date of a event or thing that you're going to, and you're feeling discomfort and you're feeling all of the different feelings, right? You get feeling really emotional, and maybe your body is feeling kind of activated in regards to you get a stomach ache or you have a headache or you're not feeling yourself, and you can relate it to the thing that you're supposed to go to. Really, if you can, take a moment, breathe, and really kind of plan out what is going to look like.
Okay.
Good, bad, or indifferent. Doesn't matter. Like, I want people to be able to be prepared.
Have a strategy.
Yep. You're going to walk in and X, Y, and Z are going to be sitting around the dinner table, and A, B, and C are going to be talking in the corner with their drinks. And what energy are you going to bring in there? What's your intention?
Okay.
Why are you showing up? And if it's only because you have to, I challenge you to change that. Is there anything about the event? And there usually is. Is there something about being at this place that you can find some happiness in, that you can find some joyous memories from the past? And grab onto those and look for those and gravitate towards those and stay away from the X, Y, and Z at the dinner table and the A, B, and C in the corners that are making you feel uptight, anxious, and upset. Okay,
I have a question to challenge you a little bit.
Absolutely.
So let's say that I have, a family gathering, and let's say that I have an elderly grandparent there that I, is going to be there, and I don't want to go to the family gathering, but I know that by going, it will please them, right? Is it still okay to set the intention that I may not be going to bring myself joy, but I'm going because I know that bringing them joy will ultimately, I can look back on this without regrets, to know that I did the right thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, because the right thing, I think, comes into it a lot. Like you want to do the right thing. And particularly, I love that you brought up like an elderly family member or friend or caregiver
Right.
that you want to be there for. If that's your intention, honor the fact that you want to be there for them. Like, and not necessarily for everybody else or for the drama that may ensue.
Right.
That your intention is to be there for them, to help bring them joy, to help bring them a sense of contentment in that moment. And then also,
right.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, Kristen said it's almost like manifesting what you want to happen in the situation. I think that's exactly what you're saying. Like,
Exactly.
You set your intention. I'm going for my grandmother because this will be a moment between me and my grandmother, and I will look back on this with that sense of joy and no regret.
Exactly. And when you're thinking about it, like if you're focusing on that, like that joy is going to sustain me through my life, because I know I showed up for her or him in the way that maybe they showed up for me
right
when I was younger.
Okay, so that's not necessarily people pleasing. That's and I think that's, for me, like a big distinction. That's doing something for them that's positive. That's not pleasing people to calm the situation down.
Exactly. And what I would say in regards to those things is, if there's one person that you're going to bring that joy to, or that happiness, or engage in that, meaningful moment, set a timer. And actually set it up with the person before you go. Hey, unfortunately, I'm only going to have 30 minutes to an hour that I'm going to be able to stop by. But I just want to let you know before I come that I'm coming there. I want to be with you, and I want to engage with you.
I love that.
Because then you're setting them up for the expectation of, they might say to you like, oh, well, I wish you'd stay longer, but nope, you're coming, you're showing up, and then you do the thing. And then in your mind, you know that there's an end time.
Right.
So that you can skedaddle.
Right. So, okay, so my mom said, are there any actual phrases that I can prepare in advance or as a mantra to hold on to when you're in that situation?
Oh, I love that. So I would say, I want a good one. I am connected to my highest and greatest good. And really kind of reminding yourself of that every time you're interacting with everyone, but specifically somebody who might really kind of make you feel some kind of way, or I don't want to say make you feel some kind of way. You feel some kind of way. We have to own our own feelings. Okay. You feel some kind of way around. Okay. So I am connected to being my highest and greatest good in this situation. And just kind of continuing to remind yourself of that is going to keep you playing higher than falling victim or prey to the drama.
And that's what a wonderful affirmation just to have in the back of your pocket, in the back pocket. Yeah. So, okay. I love all of that. Now let's get into one more thing with this topic. What do we do if somebody is at a family party or even a friend party and it's the holidays and they've been drinking and they say something that crosses your boundary, right? So when are you having a baby? When are you getting married? How's your divorce going? Are you dating? Whatever it is, it's something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Now, I also I think maybe you could talk more about the distinction between maybe people asking questions because they're genuinely interested in you versus people asking questions because they're nosy or trying to get information out of you, right? Because you can probably tell the energy is different, I would assume. So can you talk about that for a minute?
So first I would say that, you have to take it from who it's coming. So each person, you might feel a little bit different. Two people could say the same thing to you,
right.
and you're going to feel, like you said, the energy, you're going to feel differently with your response. Always try to heed on the side of the more positive response.
Okay.
Because there's going to be validation for yourself, and also it gives you a chance to walk away. So let's say someone says, I like the one, hey, when are you going to have a baby?
Mm-hmm.
I really have no idea. That's not something I really like to think about around the holidays. I'm so grateful for the other things that are going on in my life that thing in particular is something I like to think about outside of here.
Right.
And you keep it light.
And I feel like that's the polite, that's like the green light, right? Like that's like the most polite, right?
Yeah.
You're giving them more than they even need, I feel like, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's maybe somebody with the intention of just being excited for you without being like nosy, right? So then what happens then if your aunt comes up to you and she's like, so, what are you going to do? And then you're like, we've already talked about this multiple times, right? So what's like the yellow light boundary phrase, like that you could kind of use with them, like that's not as polite, that kind of gives them that message?
Yep. So I like to make the boundaries clear, whichever way I'm going to make it.
Okay.
So if you're picking up from someone, like it's the nosy aunt, it's the someone who's fishing for information, right. I'm not having that conversation right now. Thank you. And keep it moving. Because like you said, you don't owe anyone an explanation for the choices or that you are making or aren't making. And
that's like a badass answer. I feel like I'm really bad at this. And so for me, I would have to practice that answer for 100 days before. I mean, so what do you tell people like me who just hearing you say that made me anxious? So like, I'm just so bad at like, and also my personality is to tell everybody everything, which is not always the best, right? So what do you tell people to do? Should they literally practice this in a mirror? Like, what can they do to prepare themselves in the instance that somebody says something to them? And it could be anything, because I love what you said, and that could be applied to anything, right? Like when you get start dating again, or like, did you come out of the closet yet? Whatever it is, like, I think what you said was a perfect answer. I'm gonna actually like tattoo it on me. And so what are some tips that you can give to people to practice that?
So I love that you say that, because I think it goes back to the way I love the way that Kristen said, like manifesting how the situation is going to play out. So when you're preparing yourself for the holidays and the people that you're going to be around, generally, though, like there's something like that is making you feel some kind of way. Right. So that gives you the time beforehand to say, to try and prepare. I'm not answering that question right now.
I'm taking the emotion out of it, right? Because that's to me, that makes me want to throw up, because I'm a people pleaser, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
me too.
Right. So can you just explain then, like, that it's, and this has really become a therapy session for me, but like, can you just explain why it's not our job, right, to protect other people's feelings, right?
Because at the end of the day, we don't really 100% know the intention around somebody else's question. And what I find a lot with the different clients and then the families I get to interact with is that a lot of times it's to deflect off of the things that they're worried about with them.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example of this. That when I was going through my divorce, the amount of women that would DM me, come up to me, text me, and go, "What happened?" Right? Mm-hmm. What happened? Because I quickly realized why they were asking this. Right? It's because they wanted to know what happened so that they could not have that happen in their marriage. Right?
Yes.
Like any marriage is the same, which it's not. Right? But it was so clear, and I had people stop talking to me because I wouldn't tell them the story because they were so worried, right? They made it about themselves.
Yep.
And so I think, like, I think what you said was beautiful. It's really about the intention. And since we don't know the intention, all we can do is set our boundaries.
But one of the things I really like to do, and this is if you're not, I guess this would be your yellow light. If you don't want to be too nice because you're just like, I'm over that. Like,
right.
They crossed a line, but at the same time, like, I'm trying to be respectful. You can make it a little funny. Like, oh, when are you going to have a baby? Or, oh, when is your divorce finalized? Or what happened with you?
Right. Right.
Like, turn it around. And then, because a lot of times, like, one, they're not going to expect it.
No.
Two, if they try to turn it back on you, then they didn't answer your question, and they're going to start treading water.
Right.
So it gives you the time to just be like, ha, and walk away and keep moving, and when I say keep moving, I mean like move. Like,
literally move. Right.
Don't stay in the energy. Don't stay in the presence.
I was gonna ask that, and then this will be my last question of the night because I know I'm so appreciative of your time. When you're in a situation that's uncomfortable physically, how do you get out of it? Can you fit, like, and I say this, like, is it okay? Like, obviously it's okay, but sometimes we all need validation, right? Even as adults.
Yes.
Is it okay to just leave a situation if we are uncomfortable in that situation?
So let me give everyone the biggest tip that I can give you right now.
Okay. This
is your permission that you can leave whenever you want to. You are an adult. You are, hopefully.
Listen to Jennifer, everybody. Yes.
You own your body, your thoughts, and your choices. And you can leave, whether it be, and physically leave, emotionally leave, mentally leave, step away. That's your right. And when someone says to you, no, you can't, and they're infringing on your right and your boundary, that's somebody that's a sign to you, like, they have no respect for your boundaries or understanding of what boundaries are.
Right.
So I can tell you from my standpoint, like, being vulnerable, is that there's been situations that I may not have been able to literally get in my car and leave because mind, body, soul, I didn't want to cause that thing because maybe my daughter was there. Maybe I didn't want to deal with the questions, whatever.
Right, it wasn't that many people there, so it would have been a big deal, right?
There's nothing wrong with taking 5 minutes and saying, you know what, I need to make a call or I need to step outside for a minute.
Okay.
Take those 5 minutes, ground yourself, and remember why you came.
Okay.
And it goes back to kind of what was your intention to be there.
Right.
And then come back in the room and don't go back to the same, unless there's just only one person there. Don't go back to the same person you are engaging with, but try to find the light of the room. Try to find the fun. Try to look at the Christmas tree. Try to admire the way.
Is it okay?
Decorated.
Like, can you put up a boundary around yourself and take your phone out, like, and just kind of step back for a second? Or
okay, so people are hearing it first, and I probably shouldn't tell people this. There is not a time that I will not apologize to being like, I need to make a call.
Yeah.
Or I'm getting a call.
Right. It's a work thing or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Because that's life. Like, that is our life. Like, doesn't matter what you do for work. It doesn't matter what you do for what your household looks like or whatever. No one knows when you're getting a call or if you're not getting a call, if your phone's silenced or whatever. Like, take out it, like, that is your out. Like,
you could just say Jennifer's calling. Just say Jennifer's calling. There you go.
put it on your phone. Jennifer's calling.
Right, exactly.
And step away. Or, oh, I hear somebody calling me in the other room.
Right.
Whatever you need in the moment. If you are not that person who's ready to kind of put those things down, don't be upset with yourself. Right. Because you are still facing something that brings you a point of being uncomfortable. So give yourself grace, knowing you're trying.
Right.
And if something tips you over the edge, you can still gracefully step away. If it's the phone, if it's the air, if it's getting in your car and leaving, and somebody says, hey, what happened? Oh, I had to go. My door was locked, or the alarm was going off and my neighbor called me. Like, whatever it may be,
Right.
you know,
do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to protect yourself. Now, okay, I have one more question, and then I promise I'm done. What can you say if you really don't want to physically go to a family event? So I'm going to use family because I know family's harder than friends sometimes.
right.
Not always, but sometimes, right? So if you have a very, I'm going to say disorienting relationship with your parents, or your siblings, and they want you to come to an event, and you physically, especially I know after the pandemic, a lot of people, right, healed a lot of things, and going back is very traumatic. Is it the same examples apply? Like, or do you write an email? Do you call? Do you make up an excuse? Like, I don't like lying, right? Like, can you make up, like, so what do you do? Like, what can you do to set up that boundary if you really can't physically go to an event?
I can't go. I'm not feeling well. I can't go because, I mean, the way you were just, the description
right.
you were just giving, like, you don't feel well.
Wow. Hold on. I have like an Oprah moment. Yes, that is, yes. And I've never thought about that before, because you're going to be physically affected by the stress and trauma. So by saying that you don't feel well, it's not a lie. It's the truth. That's right. That's huge. Yeah.
And and saying like, I don't feel well, or even, you know what, I'm not ready. We've spent almost 3 years being told to quarantine and that we had to stay away because of the pandemic. People aren't ready for that level and that intensity of people yet. Like, that's scary. And especially when you have family members maybe that some believe in the vaccine, some don't believe in the vaccine, some people don't want to say. You're dealing
with a whole other level here of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So by just saying, like, I'm not ready, you're being honest, and people are going to say what they're going to say to you, but own it. Like, you're speaking your truth. If someone else can't hear it, that's on them. That's not on you.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's another level of healing that we have to go through.
Which is really hard to do, right?
Oh.
Like, yeah.
And I want to make sure that I say, like, I do what I do, but it doesn't mean that I'm not still doing the work on the side. Like, I couldn't have my business and not have a coach or a therapist or a community of people that I could go to when these things come up.
Right. So to end the night, can you talk a little bit about how you work with people on the trauma side, and how people can find you and how they can work with you if they are interested in, do you do one-off consultations? Like, explain a little bit more about how it works, because I think trauma coach is a new phrase for a lot of people to hear.
Right. And I mean, so I'll give you a little preview of what's happening in January. So in January, I'm actually planning on changing the name of the business to make it so that it is coaching.
Okay.
So that it's but in that, I'm still going to be focusing on family dynamics and relationships, because that's where my passion lies. And that's where I find that I am able to hear, see, and really hold space for people.
And I want to just stop you for a second. I didn't understand what the phrase hold space meant until I worked with Meg O'Neill, and I still work with her. I've been working with her as a coach for about a year, and I had a lot of trauma from my divorce and my marriage, and we did it virtually, and she said to me, I'm holding space for you so you can heal. And Meg is also a Reiki healer, and among other things, but that was not where it was coming from. It was just the act of her telling me that she was holding space for me changed my entire healing process. So I want people to understand, because I'm such a big fan of yours, that when you say that you are going to hold space for someone to let them figure their shit out and heal, Jennifer literally means she's going to hold your energy so you can take a breath and work with Jennifer, I assume, right, to figure out what the next phases are. So how does that work when you work with people in terms of all of this stuff?
Well, I find that it's helpful at the initially. The way I find that clients end up finding me, which I love it, is through referrals, is really kind of one-on-one, because it's usually when things are really raw, when crisis has just occurred. One of my areas in regards to toxic relationships is addiction. And a lot of times people haven't told anyone else about the addiction. They haven't told anyone else about the domestic violence.
Yeah.
So I start working with people one-on-one so that they can feel comfortable saying it to me, who they've probably never met before.
Well, sometimes people can't even say it to themselves, right? So that's,
yeah. Exactly. So saying it out loud is such a brave moment for people, and I don't want to take that away from them. That I find working one-on-one is the best. I am developing group programming now, because the community that can be felt when you're not alone, and you see that, oh, look it, they're going through this. Like, I didn't think of that particular thing in that way again. And watching that kind of unfold, and me just literally facilitating, like, I'm there, like, and I'm providing, like, you know, the backdrop, but then these conversations happen that are life-changing, that have really nothing to do with me other than I might be the person who brought the people together, is like next level healing.
It is. It really is. I can attest to that. And I think, first of all, that you could have so many courses, you know, you could do so much with this, because already tonight, I mean, you know, just talking about boundaries is huge for people and families, and, you know, toxic relationships, all of that. I mean, we could keep you very busy over here at Fresh Start. So, so where can people find you if they are interested in learning more about working with you?
Right now, the best place to find me is really on Instagram at lovingmimi529.
Okay.
Send me a DM and say,
I know we've already had a few people from Fresh Start reach out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Send me a DM, like, I want to talk to you. First consultation is always free. Wow. I don't think that I think that that's the least that I can do for people, is to be that are willing, and a lot of them are the first time that, like you said, that are saying anything out loud.
Yeah.
Is to give them 30 minutes of my time, because I know how valuable that would have been for me.
Yeah.
If somebody had done that.
Yeah.
So I offer that, and then we go from there. Like, if it's a fit, great, because I want you to be able to want to be around my energy. We're not all a fit for each other.
Right.
I want to be able to say, you know what, like, Meg O'Neill, she has this extra X, Y, and Z that I think would just be amazing for you. Can I connect you to?
Right.
Because that's one of the wonderful things that I've got by being able to be connected with you and all of the other
Julie
wonderful
and Kristen,
people.
right? All these people, right? Yeah.
Right. It's
and
like we have resources.
Right. And probably, you know, working with you is step one. Then you can refer them to Julie for the hypnotherapy, or Kristen for the tapping, right? So there's all it's not just working with you that people are benefiting from, but it's your network as well.
Yes.
And I love what you said. You've worked obviously from people in utero to older people as well. So you have a whole, and you have the background of the personal story. So you're not, what does Glennon Doyle say, right? She's not giving advice in places she's never been, right? You have been these places, so you can give this advice. Amazing.
And that's one of the reasons that I felt called, and I started to feel more confident in what I was doing, was because the coaches that I started working with and finding that were fitting for me at the different stages of my healing journey would say, like, do you see yourself? Like, do you see what you've been through and who you are and what steps that you've taken? And that's why I think it's so incredible to find someone and be willing to say, you know what, like, we're not a fit, but I know a whole bunch of other people. I know the Fresh Start Registry, and the Fresh Start Registry has a network of people that you can choose from, that you can find a great fit if it's not me.
Right.
And somebody else is going to come back to you. Just because I'm suggesting someone else for a not fit for me, someone else is going to do the same. But you have to have that belief.
So just
in
really
the process.
quickly, can you just give us some examples of reasons people would come to you? Like, because there might be people listening and they're like, should I, like, do I, like, is it people maybe that, I mean, I don't know, like, what are some of the types of genres of clients that you have that come to you?
The main people that I come to, that I serve, are people who have either have experienced emotional and physical abuse.
Okay.
Or have had a loved one with addiction.
And this could be anything from family member to lover to friend to anything, right? Child.
Yeah. And I find that those are the largest group of the clients that I work with. And I feel that because I am owning and embodying the things that I have been through and not trying to hide from them anymore, that I am attracting those people who want to be seen, heard, and validated in the same ways that I needed to be seen, heard, and validated at that time.
Right.
And no judgment. That's the biggest thing. Like, I have to stress, if any of my clients that have worked with me, I don't care if you decide that you want to stay in the relationship that you're in, if you decide that you're going to continue to allow your boundaries to be crossed by X, Y, and Z. Right. If you become aware that that's what they're doing by us working together, and we can talk that out. Yeah. That's a success.
Well, you are a gift. You are a gift to this world. I mean,
thank you.
I was going to say, I wish I had more trauma so I could come to you, but I think I feel good about my trauma. I'm just kidding. But you know, I know that you were just going to change so many, you know, so much of what we talk about is generational trauma. And this generation of women, especially, I feel like our buck stops here, right? And so I feel like you are just going to change so many families and give people a chance to have their voice heard. No, she is. Julie says she's a gem. Jen is a gem, and I'm so glad to have met you. And thank you for your time here tonight. We will obviously, I'm going to hopefully save this and do something with the video. So let's pray that Instagram gods are on our side. But we'll definitely do this again. 100%.
Absolutely.
And if there's any questions, people can DM you. I will make sure people can find you. We will put your Instagram everywhere, and obviously your link. If you go to freshstartsregistry.com and you look up trauma coaches, Jen is our trauma coach. All of her information is on Fresh Starts Registry. You can literally click one button and get in contact with her. Jen, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. I've learned so much. I have had like 500 aha moments while we were sitting here. So thank you, and have a wonderful night. And I'm going to hopefully save this video so we can have it in perpetuity.
All right. Thank you. And thank you to the sleeping gods so that for
That's
accommodating.
Really
it is like for accommodating us and tonight. And, you know, again, I appreciate you, and I so look forward to working with you more in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's been so awesome.
Happy holidays.